A lot of people worry that getting pre-qualified for a mortgage will wreck their credit score, but there's so much information out there about how credit inquiries really work. You might be wondering things like, how much does a credit inquiry actually affect my score? Or do I really only have 14 days to shop for a mortgage? And one big mistake I see is people getting pre-qualified through lenders who only do a soft credit pull. Sure, a soft pull doesn't impact your credit score, but it also doesn't give you the full picture when applying for a mortgage. To really know if you can get approved for a mortgage, you need a hard credit inquiry. Without it, you might think you're good to go, start house hunting, and then end up disappointed when the mortgage doesn't go through, after you've already spent money on inspections or deposits. And I know the credit system can be really confusing, but I'm here to clear things up. So in this video, I'm going to break down the difference between a soft pull and a hard pull credit score, why a hard pull is required for an accurate pre-qualification, exactly how many points a hard inquiry changes your score, and how long you have to shop for a mortgage without hurting your score. Okay, so there are two main types of credit inquiries, often called pulls. So there's a hard pull and a soft pull, or you could think of it like a hard inquiry or a soft inquiry. So a hard pull happens when you're applying for any extension of credit. So something like a mortgage, an auto loan, a credit card. Basically, it gives lenders a deep dive into your credit history to help them decide if they'll approve your request. On the other hand, a soft pull is typically used when there's no credit being extended. So it's things like when you look up your own score, an employer reviews it, or a landlord looks it up like that. So here's the main differences here. So a hard pull, it's going to allow you to get credit. Soft pulls are rarely going to allow you to actually get credit. You're not going to be able to get a mortgage with it. And most of the time you can't get an auto loan with a soft pull. You need a hard pull to be able to actually get the credit that you're looking to get approved for. Now, when it comes to showing up on your credit report, a hard pull does show up on your credit report and a soft pull does not. So a hard pull is going to put an inquiry on your credit report that can be seen by other lenders, which is kind of the big fear that a lot of people have about how much is that going to tank my score. With a soft pull, it's not going to show up. No lender is going to be able to see that you did a soft pull on your credit score. Now, here's the big thing here is this impact to your score. So Experian actually reports that a hard credit inquiry actually is going to change your score 0 to 5 points. So for some people, your credit score won't change by having a credit inquiry. For other people, it may change up to 5 points. Now, one little caveat in here, if you have credit monitoring software or some sort of app, it's going to notify you when you get a hard credit pull. And often what ends up happening is they're sometimes use fear tactics to try to act like your score is dropping dramatically to try to get you to work with one of their lenders just to be safe, that type of thing. And keep in mind that on these credit monitoring apps, they're using a different scoring model than what mortgage lenders use. So a mortgage score will change 0 to 5 points for a hard pull. On a soft pull, it's not going to have any impact to your score. And then for a hard pull, you're also going to get an alert from that. So probably through maybe your bank if they have credit monitoring systems, or maybe your credit card has a credit monitoring thing, or use a credit monitoring app, you'll get a notification about that pull. For soft pulls, it's possible but unlikely that you'll get some sort of notification when a soft pull happens. So when lenders are looking to get you approved, they're going to use a hard credit inquiry to actually be able to get you a mortgage. That's how you can close on a home. You can't close on a mortgage with just a soft pull. And so the way that lenders think about it, I like to use this analogy is think of it like a soft pull is like watching a movie trailer. It gives you an overview of the plot, but you don't know the whole story. A hard pull, on the other hand, is like watching the full movie. And so when a lender is considering giving you hundreds of thousands of dollars for a home, they need to see the full picture, the full story to know the decision of if they're going to be able to lend you that money. Now, a lot of people have questions about what exact scoring models are used because there's tons of different credit score algorithms that lenders can use. And so with Experian, they're going to be using FICO Score 2. With Equifax, it's going to be FICO Score 5. And with TransUnion, it's going to be FICO Score 4. Now, for most people, you're not going to be able to actually pull these credit scoring models and use these algorithms unless you're a mortgage lender. In some circumstances, you can pull maybe one from Experian and maybe get one from Equifax or TransUnion. But it's difficult to get what's called a tri-merge report of all these credit scores with these scoring algorithms. That's usually reserved for mortgage lenders. However, you don't have to know your exact credit score to apply for a mortgage. The main goal of looking at your credit score is not to say, do I have exactly the number needed? Because mortgages often don't work that way, right? Conventional loans have a minimum of a 620. FHA loans go all the way down to a 500 score, but tend to prefer 580 and above. So most people don't need to know exactly what their FICO score is, and so it's okay to use other models. So when you're using other credit scoring models, the goal then is to track the momentum of your score. Is your score going up because of things you've been doing, or is it going down because of things like spending habits or late payments, or maybe there's errors on your credit report? So for working on credit, I personally use a system called ScoreMaster, and I like it because there's a couple different tools in here that I can use to track my score and where it's going. I can also take a look at actions that I can take, and then also if there's any boost to my score that I can add. So for instance, in Score Tracker, a lot of credit monitoring apps have the ability to track your score over time. And that's what's really important. It's not exactly what your FICO mortgage score is. It's about what's the trend over time. Are the actions that you're doing with your credit right now actually helping to improve it? Or is it going the opposite direction? Or is it just neutral? Because a lot of people think they're working on their credit, but they're really just kind of spinning their wheels and their credit is static in one spot. So what I like about ScoreMaster is it has a couple tools in here. So one tool is called Score Builder, and what it helps you do is take action directly on your credit report. So what we'll do here is I'll go through the screen. It will show you what your current starting score is, and you'll be able to put in a goal score that you want to get to. Now, this is just a demo account here. This is not my personal credit report. So what you'll do is you'll come in here, and it's going to begin showing you a review of your credit score, of your current score, tell you more information about it. And it's basically going to craft this plan as you go through and look through these accounts. So we'll see what's helping the credit score here. I can take a look at all the accounts that are working in my favor in this account. And then also what's hurting my score as well. I can take a look through here, and it's going to help us actually take action with these as well. So next it will show us the actions that we can actually take. So for instance, we could do things like fix credit reporting errors, get goodwill corrections, pay off or negotiate small debts, remove identity theft. And so what we can do through here is actually take a look at all of those accounts that might have been negative and see, is there any action that we can take? So as you look through these accounts, you might go through here and say, okay, I want to take action. Maybe there's some errors on here. And so you can look through the problem accounts that will pop up. And from here, this is where I can watch either a video tutorial to understand a little bit more about this, or actually go ahead and take action directly right here. So I could say, I want to fix an error and go through this form here to explain the error here. That way, ScoreMaster can take an action on this. Something else you can do with your credit cards is pay them at different times to help increase your score. So that's what Score Boost does here. And so what it's going to do is show us whether we either pay down credit card balances at certain times, or if we increase our credit card balances, the impact that it will have to the score. So we can jump in here to Score Boost and see an estimated future score based on the amount that we would pay down on cards. So for instance, we can use the slider to then see what our future score might be depending on what we spend or what we pay. So for instance, if you're looking at improving your credit, you might use a simulator to be able to look at, okay, I might want to add 40 points, or maybe want to get up to that 680 range. Okay, so I need to pay $5,752. And it's going to show me exactly what credit accounts I need to do that with. So it's going to show me, okay, for my Amex card, I would need to pay this amount of money. To get 6 points, I would need to pay it down by October 30th. Okay, and these, again, just demo account here. This would be custom tailored to your profile and your credit cards as well. But it will show you exactly what to pay and when to get the best impact with your credit score. So ScoreMaster is offering a 7-day trial for $1. You can go to scoremaster.com/Kyle if you want to try that out. Also, the link will be in the description if you're interested in trying that out as well. Okay, so before you start shopping for a home, you need to get pre-qualified. So this is where a lender checks to make sure you can actually qualify for a loan before you start home shopping. And so to do this, they'll need to run a hard inquiry on your credit, which shows your credit score from all three major bureaus. It's going to show Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. The hard inquiry is what allows the lender to assess how risky your loan might be, and it helps their underwriting software determine how much you can actually get approved for. So here's the key thing: a mortgage can only close with a hard credit inquiry. A soft inquiry won't give the lender the full picture, and no mortgage has ever funded based on a soft pull. And how do I know that? It's in loan guidelines. Every mortgage requires a full tri-merge credit report to move forward to be able to actually close on a home with a mortgage. So even though you need a hard credit inquiry to get an accurate pre-qualification and actually buy a house, a lot of mortgage companies are offering pre-qualifications that simply don't require one. And the problem with that is, imagine you get pre-qualified with a soft pull from a lender, and then you spend a month shopping for a home, you find your dream home, then you go under contract. So when you go back to the lender for the final approval, they're going to run a hard pull at that time because they need it to actually close on the loan. And then suddenly they might tell you that you don't qualify because they didn't have that full information, that full credit inquiry to be able to give you an approval in the first place. And this happens so often. And so by the time somebody gets under contract, they've often spent money on a contract deposit or home inspection, money that they might not be able to get back. And so this is what the timeline might look like in those situations. And again, this happens time and time again. Think of like really big companies that have the one button push approval type things. People get these soft pre-qualifications. Okay, so they're based on pretty limited data, not super great trustworthy pre-qualification that you can depend on. Then they go and they start looking for a home. They find a house, right? And this process might take a month or maybe multiple months. They make a deposit on a home. They pay for an inspection. Then all of a sudden they go back to their lender and say, I have a home under contract. Now I want to finalize my loan. They do a hard pull and an underwrite at this point. And then all of a sudden, oh, there's errors, there's a problem, there's an issue that needs to be dealt with, and maybe you aren't able to get approved for a loan. And so the mortgage might not close if the hard pull doesn't get an approval at that point in time. And pre-qualifications are supposed to be something that you can rely on. If your lender isn't doing a hard pull to check your credit, you don't have a trustworthy pre-qualification. And unfortunately, some companies know a lot of people are worried about credit inquiries. So they use that fear to kind of get you in the door by offering a soft pull pre-qualification. And it sounds really convenient, but they're not really protecting your interest or your money, frankly. They're really just hoping everything works out in the end. They can get you approved now, get you as a client, and then they hope that things work later on. But if things don't go as planned, you're the one who's left dealing with the fallout of it all. And a soft pull might seem appealing, but it's really not a reliable pre-qualification that you need to confidently shop for a home. Okay, so you know that you need a hard inquiry or a hard pull to be able to get a trustworthy pre-qualification. So let's talk about some misconceptions around here. So a common misconception when it comes to mortgage inquiries is how long you can shop around for the best rate without hurting your credit score. So according to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB, who oversees extensions of credit, you actually have a 45-day window where multiple credit checks from different mortgage lenders only count as a single inquiry on your credit report. Okay, so here's how it works. Let's walk through a timeline here. All right, so let's start here on the left. All right, you want to get pre-qualified for a mortgage, so you get a hard pull credit inquiry. At this point, your score is going to change 0 to 5 points. Okay, so starting from day 0 over here on the left, there's a 45-day window, which you can get unlimited mortgage credit inquiries, and it's going to have 0 impact to your score. So I could get a pull maybe 5 days later, and it's going to have 0-point impact. I could get another pull, let's say 15 days later, 0-point impact. Another one, 20 days later, 0-point impact. Another one, 35 days later, 0 points. Another one, let's say 40 days later, 0-point impact. So just to illustrate, you have this 45-day period in which you can get multiple credit inquiries and shop your mortgage without it impacting your credit score. And many people worry that having multiple lenders check their credit will hurt their score, but it's simply not true. It's smart to shop around for the best deal, and the system is set up to allow you to do that without penalty. Okay, so a quick note on credit that trips up a lot of people. Once you're pre-qualified for a mortgage, it's based on your credit at that moment. So don't make any changes to your credit situation until after your loan closes. For example, you want to avoid taking on new debt. Don't go out and buy a car or rack up credit card balances with big purchases like furniture. So here's some do's and don'ts. The do's column is pretty small. So really, you're just going to pay your credit accounts like normal. And then talk to your loan officer first. If you need to make any credit changes, don't do it and then tell your loan officer and hope that things work out. Talk to your loan officer first. If there's things that you have to do, then they can kind of guide you through the best option there. In general, a good rule of thumb is any credit changes, any new accounts, bigger balances, things like that. It's easier if you can to wait till after closing, because after you close, it really doesn't matter what happens on your credit score or on your credit report, but up until closing date does matter. So some things you don't want to do. You don't want to make any large purchases on credit. There are a lot of people who will, they go and buy thousands of dollars worth of furniture on credit. Don't do that. That has to be now updated on your credit report and can change your credit score along with your debt to income ratio. Also, don't open any new credit accounts. Don't miss payments on any existing accounts that you have. Don't close any old credit accounts. Don't run up high balances on credit cards. Don't co-sign on any loans. Don't switch jobs. And then also, don't get credit inquiries for other things like auto loans, credit cards. That can also change your score and can also mess up things with your mortgage approval. Also, lenders will pull what's called a refresh report right before closing. So this doesn't impact your credit score, but it lets them see if you've taken out any new debt. So any changes could affect your ability to get the mortgage. So sometimes what can happen with people is they get a house under contract, everything's good to go, and then all of a sudden they buy a car, they didn't tell anyone about it, and then before closing, the underwriter is going to pull that refresh report, see that there's a new car in there, and now we have to pull a new credit report, which includes maybe a new score that might have dropped lower, which means you might not get approved, or you might have a potentially higher interest rate if your credit score drops. And then also if your debt to income changes too much, that may make it difficult for you to actually continue with getting approved for the loan. So the bottom line is continue using your credit as you normally would, paying off balances on time, but avoid opening or closing any accounts without consulting your loan officer first. It's just best to wait until after closing to make any changes. A hard pull on your credit might sound intimidating, but it's actually a critical step in getting an accurate pre-qualification for your mortgage. The impact on your credit score is minimal. It's usually just 0 to 5 points. Plus, you have a 45-day window to get as many mortgage pulls as you need without it affecting your score. If you're serious about buying a home, getting a hard pull is essential. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and some less reputable lenders may try to exploit your fear of credit pulls. So our team at ServBank, we run hard pulls during our pre-qualification because we want our clients to feel confident that when we approve them, they're actually set to close, that they actually can trust that pre-qualification is going to allow them to get a mortgage. So if you're looking at getting pre-qualified anywhere in the US, or you just have a question, our team is here to help with no obligation. Just visit winthehouseyoulove.com/lender to chat with one of our mortgage advisors.